Let's go. The Eagles worked out a deal with Dallas Goedert, and he deserves all the credit in the world for wanting to run it back this season. Of course, the Birds were already serious Super Bowl threats, but why did this move just make them that much better? Let's talk about how much Howie Roseman saved and if that could mean another veteran player could be in the works. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys did something unexpected by trading for George Pickens. And it could be a really good move, or it could be an absolute dumpster fire. Yet judging by their track record, I'll give multiple reasons it'll be the latter. So let's get into it. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? How about dropping a like on this video because the Eagles got a deal done with Dallas Goedert? I mean, I'll be honest, I was beginning to think DG getting cut was more likely than any sort of trade or contract restructuring. Although you're right, I don't know why anyone would doubt Howie Roseman to get something figured out and keep tight end one around for another season. After all, he's a genius when it comes to restructuring and negotiating, yet give Goedert a ton of credit for being willing to take a pay cut and stay in Philly. For real, so in case you just missed it or didn't catch it, NFL Network's Mike Garafolo reported that it was 88 who actually agreed to selflessly restructure so that he can stay and try to run it back.
I'm a team player, cousin.
Honestly, yes, there's not a better way to describe it, especially when you see the numbers and details of the contract. As Phil Yates shared that the deal is now $10 million cash with a chance to earn $1 million more via incentives. Meaning when you boil it down, Dallas took a $4 million pay cut to help out with the cash allocation for the Birds. Which is why, if you didn't already, you gotta believe he subscribes to the Jalen Hurts mindset.
Money is nice, championships are better.
Look, I get it. Maybe the writing was on the wall and this was the best option Goedert could get. Because let's not forget that this is practically the same restructuring that Josh Sweat did last year, like almost to a T. Yet at the same time, you can't deny it's wild to see the massive contract for George Kittle, who's a year older, to reset the tight end market and not think 88 could have at least gotten a solid deal. Like for a little perspective here, after the pay cut, Goedert is making less than Noah Fant and Juwan Johnson. Sorry, no offense to those guys, but they're not anywhere close to Dallas's talent level when he's healthy. I just don't know how Howie does it. Of course, the Philly way and Eagles culture plays a massive part in that too. Yet either way, being able to keep DG for another year is a massive win to the chances of repeating. I mean, we're talking about a guy who ranked second in the NFL among tight ends in yards per route run last season. Now sure, there's a plethora of offensive weapons to choose from, but like anyone sane would admit, the best version of the 2025 Eagles is the one with Dallas Goedert on the field. So, in honor of the fantastic news and DG returning to run it back, I'm going to give away some Let's Run It t-shirts to someone who likes and comments on this video. Alright, while you're dropping a like and hitting up the comments section, do you realize that after taking care of the tight end spot now, the Eagles have locked up or are bringing back 10 of the 11 starters on offense from the Super Bowl? Yeah, and not that you needed a reminder, but that's the same unit that combined to score 95 points across the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. Leaving Dave Zangaro to quit, this is a team that will have a legitimate chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions now. And absolutely it will, because realistically, even as good as Goedert is in the passing game, it might be the ground game where he makes a bigger impact. Remember, the Eagles averaged 6.3 yards per carry when DG was on the field last season compared to just 4.9 yards per carry without him. And when you consider a running back like Saquon Barkley, along with the Birds admitting they're bringing back the fullback dominance this season, this feels like one of the last remaining pieces of the puzzle. Seriously, I get the fact that we have a new offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, but he's in-house. You just have to kind of keep the train on the tracks. I mean, honestly, just keep it where it was. Not have to do anything crazy. He did say that he'd keep the same terminology, so hopefully that's a good thing. There's not a whole lot you have to do extra here. You have 10 of the 11 guys. Right guard's the only spot. I'm believing in Tyler Steen. We're going to be more than fine. You can tell, I can't help it now. The hype and excitement for the upcoming season is crazy given the most recent move. After all, it's not just the talent on the field, but also the selfless character guys in the locker room that I think some people significantly undervalue. Like Jerry Jones, for example, with the Cowboys deciding to trade the Pittsburgh Steelers for wide receiver George Pickens. Especially when the trade compensation was revealed to be a third-round pick in 2026 and a fifth in 2027 for Pickens and a sixth in 2027. However, the more you dig into the ingredients of this trade, I think it's a lot of style over substance. But before I get into what that is, I want to talk to you guys about something that is high quality and the sponsor of today's video, Mudwater. Because you guys know that I'm not typically a morning person, hence the reasons for the super late uploads and late night streams. However, I also realized that I never had a go-to for my morning ritual. That is until I started trying Mudwater. Because Mudwater is able to give me better energy without the crash along with a fraction of the caffeine in a cup of coffee. Which is of course thanks to their USDA certified and Whole30 approved clean ingredients. Featuring things like cacao, cinnamon, Himalayan pink salt, lion's mane, and turmeric, to name a few. Now, as I shared in the past, I wasn't exactly sure about this stuff working, but it's been months now, and I can attest to the fact that it's actually had a big boost in my focus. And not only that, but my wife really enjoys the matcha after an afternoon workout to get a boost of energy without the jitters, crash, or dependency of an energy drink. With the best part being she's able to drink it mid-afternoon and still sleep. Seriously, whether you're looking for a new morning ritual or a clean option for a pick-me-up in the afternoon, you got to try Mud Water. So go ahead, upgrade your morning ritual and try Mud Water. All you got to do is click the link in the description or scan the QR code and then make sure to use your exclusive code Josh Davis to get 15% off your starter kit plus a free frother. Look, this is the second time in 6 months that the Cowboys have traded for a wide receiver. Since trading a 4th-round pick for former Panthers wideout Jonathan Mingo didn't exactly pan out the way Dallas had hoped. Yeah, I'd say former 2nd-round pick playing in 8 games, registering 5 catches for just 46 yards is not ideal. Of course, in the most unbiased way possible, yes, I can absolutely admit George Pickens is not Jonathan Mingo. Like, say what you will, but this dude is one of the best long ball threats in the NFL and has nearly 3,000 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns in his first 3 seasons in the league. Plus, I'm sure you've seen it because I certainly have, but Cowboys fans have made sure to put it on blast that in the last 2 years, Dak Prescott ranks number 1 in most pass yards on 15-plus yard go routes and number 2 in most attempts on 15-plus yard go routes. Meanwhile, for receivers, George Pickens in the last 2 years is number 1 in most receiving yards on 15-plus yard go routes and number 2 for the most catches on 15-plus yard go routes. Naturally, leaving Jerry's clowns to say that this is a match made in heaven and a dream scenario.
Well, sometimes dreams can turn into nightmares, Lou.
You know, you'd think the Cowboys would know this, especially when it comes to a guy like George Pickens. Heck, just last year was the game where Pickens wrote an expletive on his eye black, which resulted in a league fine. But more importantly, the former 2nd-round pick saw a huge drop in snaps, appeared to very clearly not give full effort in the game, and even got into an ugly exchange with Dallas cornerback Jordan Lewis. Granted, anyone who's watched the NFL knows this stuff. Pickens is immensely talented, but he's also a headache waiting to happen. That's the reason Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said last year, quote, that he needs to grow up in a hurry. Due to his several unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, being fined multiple times by the league, getting into altercations with fans, arriving late for games, and even having to be restrained on the sideline during games on multiple occasions. So yeah, to trade away a 3rd-round pick for a guy with that kind of baggage and locker room presence is definitely a choice.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
The other comical or oblivious thing to this is that according to Adam Schefter, Pickens has the same agent as Micah Parsons and David Mulgeta. So now Jerry's got 2 deals to work out and get done, with both in the final year of their deal. Yet when asked about Mulgeta, Jerry literally said he didn't know that name.
I'm usually very good with names, but I'll be damned if I haven't forgotten yours.
I mean, you would think that he'd recognize that name, considering the fact that just last month he told reporters that he'd spent hours with Parsons and both sides were pretty close to all aspects of the deal.
I knew you, yeah.
Fine, Jerry is up there in age, so maybe it's an honest mistake. But I'm sorry, if Philly was adding these type of guys to the locker room, I would be severely concerned about the culture. By the way, quarterback Joe Milton is one of those that was rumored to be in the Eagles' sights, yet ultimately he ended up getting traded to Dallas. However, with recent reports coming out about Milton's lack of team-first approach and not being a good dude for the chemistry, it's fair to say Philly dodged a bullet. Anyway, don't normally go off that far on a tangent, but it's a massive trade. Pickens is certainly a massive trade. Lots of talent, like I broke down there, but at least had to bring it up because I've seen so many comments from Cowboys fans jumping in the streams everywhere else. Curious to get your guys' thoughts, though. Me personally, and it's pretty obvious at this point, I'm in agreement with Stephen A's take on the whole thing.
Dude is supposed to be a headache. You got a new coach that nobody wanted, that you elevated in Brian Schottenheimer. That's what you got right there, right? You got him, right? You got Dak Prescott, who's allergic to prosperity come playoff time, right? So we know that's going on, right? Rico Dowdle, you didn't even try to hold on to him. You went and got this brother Williams from Denver, right? Because he was half the price. I mean, instead of $6 million, we're only going to play $3 million. I mean, just stop the presses. What a big move for our renegade, right? Which basically means you're going to be passing the ball all day long. And the more you pass, the more it sets the stage for Dak Prescott to make a mistake when it matters most. Congratulations to the Cowboys. I'm sure it looks good on paper, as it always does. I'm sure the Dallas Cowboy faithful is looking around.
You already planning for their downfall? Yeah, give me a break. Like Stephen A, we ain't even been to OTAs yet.
It's easy. Hey, man, They gave it to me on a silver platter. I'm here minding my business. It's the NBA playoffs, man. That's where my mind is. And they go and they do something like this. I'm minding my business. I wasn't thinking about the Cowboys, but this is what they want. They got to steal the headlines. They stole the headlines during Super Bowl week. They're going to try to steal. Now they're stealing it during the NBA playoffs. Fine. It's all yours. They're going to make headlines, and you're going to see Dallas Cowboy fans everywhere. Pickens with CeeDee Lamb, and Dak is back healthy. You know we're going to win the Super Bowl next year, right? Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just set up for right now. At least they're not going to stink in September. They're going to go back to teasing us into believing that they're relevant and right up until around Christmas time or so, a little bit after. And then after that, they plummet.
It is the gift that keeps on giving. And I know they need a receiver. I totally get that. But there's just some guys it's best to stay clear of. Anyway, back to the Birds and areas of need for them. The idea of Justin Simmons getting signed has picked back up steam. For one, because of Dallas Goedert's restructuring, freeing up $4 million in cash. And then two, Brian Baldinger recently sharing that the former All-Pro absolutely wants to be in Philadelphia. Except, of course he does. He had a down year last season and is still out there in free agency. Now, I'm not saying that he can't add some veteran leadership and presence or even productivity. You guys know, I've talked about him so many different times. I am a fan of Justin Simmons, but I'm looking at this thing, especially the further that we go on here, and I'm asking myself, does Howie Roseman feel like it's worth the chance or the risk of forfeiting some Andrew Mukuba playing time? Like, sure, Howie will do whatever it takes to win. Yet I can't help but think back to his past comments following 2024 and saying they needed to get the young guys more snaps and opportunities. Which is why, as I said, when you think about Drew Mukuba and getting playing time to learn under Vic Fangio and Christian Parker, I kind of lean toward that outcome. Still, I can talk myself into both sides of this thing because the later that it gets, you sign Simmons for practically nothing against the cap, and then what does it hurt? You bring in some competition, a veteran presence, a guy who can mentor Mukuba and Sidney Brown. It's not the worst thing. Now, on the topic of competition, Howie does continue to bring in wide receivers, which I think tells you just how unsettled things are behind Jahan Dotson. Literally, there is 12 guys right now on the 90-man roster for receiver, leading to NFL.com's Kevin Patra to name Philly as the best landing spot for wide receiver Amari Cooper. Since again, the Birds are not shy about adding veteran talent there. After all, we remember Julio Jones in 2023. At the same time, it's very evident Cooper is not the same receiver he used to be. After coming off the worst year of his career where he generated 547 yards and 4 touchdowns in 14 games with the Cleveland Browns and Buffalo Bills. Yet as bad as that is, maybe the worst number out of all that was Cooper's measly 6.8 yards per reception. I don't know. I get what Philly offers Cooper and a chance to chase a ring, but I guess if you think about it, wide receiver 4 option potential there, it's a possibility. But personally, I'm not as high on making another move there offensively as I would to be to bring something on the defensive side if you want to bring a veteran in for some competition. Speaking of which, there's another name you can throw into that category now in Jadeveon Clowney, after Jeremy Fowler reported that the Carolina Panthers have now released the 32-year-old. Now, I'll say it again, I'm not looking for older players to steal significant reps from the younger guys. But like Anthony DeBona shared, if the Eagles are able to move on from Bryce Huff, then it could make some sense to add Clowney's veteran presence into the room. That is, of course, if you can look past his history of dirty cheap shots, in particular against Philly players.
I hate that guy.
Like, I could see it both ways. Because he had 5.5 sacks last year and has shown he can still make a difference on occasion. Plus, you'd most likely be signing him for really cheap, and there's no question he is better against the run than a guy like Bryce Huff. Anyway, you guys feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments and also where you're at with the whole Tush Push argument. I know it's gotten talked about probably too much at this point, although I did at least want to mention it here because the NFL has shared that there's a likelihood for the conversation to pick back up on a potential ban either May 20th or 21st during the next round of owners' meetings. And like I've said, the Eagles are going to be fine either way, but yeah, we probably all hope that it stays. Either way, we'll keep you posted. Make sure to like and subscribe. Turn the notifications on if we get any other news, signing Justin Simmons, update on the Tush Push. I'll keep you guys posted. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.